Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to start the show. If I could just get everybody to calm down. All right, we've got the green light. Now, who are these guys again? Derrick and Brian, standing tall. Active 20 to 30, we want to hear it all. Yeah, tell us your story with some local beer. Man, listen and learn, and just stay right here.
Welcome to the Standing Tall podcast. I'm Derrick. I'm here with Brian, and we have upgraded our viewing settings for you for this one. We were at the brewery last time, and we're here on video with you and with our president for the 200th term in the 100th year of Active 2030, the greatest service organization in the world, Mr. Matt Stumpf. How are you doing today, buddy?
Gentlemen, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time and wanting to talk to me.
Absolutely, man. We're happy to have you and grateful you made the time. So one of the things that we were planning on doing with this is doing a beer tasting. We learned from Eric last time that the proper way to taste a beer and etiquette with 2030, I guess, is a taboo. So we're just going to try some beer. And the beer that we selected was the Hazy Sutter Nights. I don't know if you can see that real well, but it is a New England style IPA. And in celebration of the New England style IPA, you see Ted Williams behind me, little Go Red Sox man cave sign back here. So we're going to celebrate all things New England, try the beer. And so we're going to have everybody crack their beer, pour it into their glass. And one of the things Eric told us about was a proper head. So we'll want to make sure. I'm going to pour it into my Red Bus glass here. Oh, it sounds good. All right. Brian is a little more familiar with the beer at Red Bus, and I'm becoming a guru and a connoisseur of the Red Bus brand. So why don't you want to walk us through the tasting, Brian?
Sure. Well, I'll get started here. This is Hazy Sutter Nights. This is a hazy IPA. Derrick, you had the Jetronic when we were at Red Bus last week, right?
That's right.
Earlier this week. And that's another version of a hazy IPA, and you can kind of see this here. The style itself is kind of supposed to what's supposed to happen with this beer is that the hop character is supposed to give it some kind of almost there's almost like a fruit character to it. I think if you tried Jetronic, you could kind of pick up like peach and mango or pineapple. I think this beer is kind of in the spirit of that. You're going to also get a lot of those fruit flavors, and those all come from the hops. They're not like they're not adding like pineapple juice to it or anything like that. Even though sometimes these hazy beers, they start to look really like super cloudy, like it's almost like it's juice. So so we'll start with how it looks. Matt, how's yours look?
Damn good. Looks nice.
Yeah. I love that we're doing this very, sophisticated beer tasting experience with a bunch of guys who just want to get to it. Like, can we just drink the stuff, or like, what are we waiting for here?
That's right.
So you got kind of a hazy color. I mean, you can't I can't really see all the way through it, but I can kind of, I've had some hazy beers that are like really, really thick, and but it's definitely hazy. Mine's definitely hazy.
Yeah, a little clearer than the Jetronic, I think, but still hazy.
Yeah.
So next smell. Do we smell it?
Next step in our process is the smell. How does it smell?
Smells like I want to taste it, I think.
Everything right to the. I mean, we're trying to jump ahead. Yeah, let's just taste it. Let's see. Let's just taste it.
Cheers, you guys.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's got a kind of a to the point kind of flavor. It gets right to the business end of the taste, I think.
Yeah, I like this. To me, some hazy beers kind of, it's almost they don't have a they feel like there's such a departure from beer. It doesn't taste like a beer. This one tastes like a beer to me. I don't. Maybe it's the malt. There's a balance to it. I think that was something that Eric talked about in the beer tasting. Is like, is it balanced? Is it very hoppy or is it very malty? But I feel like this one's got a little bit of malt to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still got some of that natural beer kind of taste to it. The pale ale, you know,
Yeah.
I think
signature.
maybe it's in my head because I watched the last podcast, the interview with Eric, but he mentioned Hefeweizen,
Yeah.
and I definitely get a little Hefeweizen out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Nice.
yeah, that was a fun can to design.
Very nice. Yeah, I think you did a great job, man.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. So Matt, while we're tasting, why don't you tell us a little bit about what brought you into Active 2030? How'd you hear about it? Where'd you find us? And kind of what piqued your interest initially?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a member of the club now for 16 years, and the company that I used to run was situated directly in front of the Dante Club. And for those of us who have been in the club for a while, we know Dante was home for a long time, and every Thursday around lunchtime, I used to see a bunch of guys, start making the walk back down that long driveway down to Dante Club. And the owner of the company that I was working for, he actually was a member of Point West Rotary and introduced me to past president of 2030, Grant London, and said, hey, I'm going to have someone come take you to lunch next Thursday. And next Thursday came, and here was Grant, who walked me down that long driveway down to Dante, and that was my first lunch. Chris Mansu was president, and been coming back ever since.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah. What do you think is we talk about a thing in the club called the hook. It's one of our past presidents, Jeff Frost. He, gave it this signature name, and it's basically what has kept you in the club and what was the romantic kind of pull in for why you may have stayed in the club. You want to talk about some of the events that you've run and then lead into kind of what your hook was once you found it?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me coming into the club, I knew no one at lunch that day, no one at all of the future meetings. And that can be an uncomfortable room, 50 plus guys, everyone knows each other, and now you're the new guy. And I would marvel at these club members who were putting on these events. I remember the first spring party I went to, having no idea the magnitude of this event taking place in a warehouse, and just being completely blown away. And I remember saying to myself, wow, I could never, I don't think I could ever do that. I don't think I could ever get in front of this many guys and put together this type of event. And I just really taken back, overwhelmed. And that's one thing about this club is, it's cliche to say, you get out of it what you put into it. But my hook has been the growth that I've seen within myself as I've stayed in the club. I went on to run a spring party many years later with a gentleman who's become, a dear friend of mine, Rustin Vogt. And I went on to run numerous other events, including a poker tournament that Derrick, you and I put together a year ago, and raised nearly $18,000 for the children here in Sacramento. I went on, to run for board and making friendships with you guys, the guys in the club who you do these things with, who you kind of, you go to battle with when it comes to running an event or being on board and being in those board meetings that we know at times can get contentious, and just really identifying that we're all there donating our time for the good of the organization, which ultimately is the good of the children here in Sacramento. And my hook has been all about that camaraderie and that ability to continue to grow within the club. And like I said, 16 years ago, I would have never thought that I would ever run an event, run something the size of Spring Party. And, it took me 16 years to finally become president, but, it's surreal for me to now be in this position and look back over my time within the club and recognize the amount of events and the friendships I've built.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. And I think what you'll learn as we go through these podcasts is everyone's hook, everyone's reason for being a part of the organization is so different, from networking to friendships to personal growth to development in the business, region, to just serving the children. I think that's, a fantastic hook for you, and to have seen, some of that growth. I joined in 2008, so to see your growth from then forward has been tremendous, and to be able to do events with you and have you support me in running events and Brian and what we're doing now, even, it's fantastic. So thank you very much for that. And, I can safely say that I'm proud of you as a friend and to be able to see you grow into the leader. Now, you made a decision to run after, I think a lot of guys would say, several years of skating the question to run for president, or vice president as it had been. What does it mean to you to be president at this point in the 100th year for the 200th term, going into the biggest birthday party this club has ever had in this convention?
It's very humbling when I think about and recognize the men who have come before me that have been president of this club, and these are men that, as I came through the club, I looked up to and went, wow, look how well they do they run our lunch meetings, they run board meetings, and then there was the generations before me. And when I look at the bell, the president's bell, and the engraved names on that bell, it's very humbling. And I think to be the president here for the 100th year, the 200th term, I really took it as a benchmark for the club, but then a great launching pad moving forward, and trying to identify what I could do to help make sure this club is going to be here for 100 years from now. So for me, I really looked at it as that baseline of, wow, we've come this far. Now, what can I do to help put my stamp on making sure this club's around for another 100 years?
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah, I mean, the spirit, when you talk about looking back at the bell with all the names on it, it's just kind of crazy to think about in 1922, the spirit of what we're doing today is the same. Like what they were focused on in 1922 is the same thing we're focused on in 2022. And I think a lot, and like you said, everybody kind of puts their own little mark on it, but in the big picture, at the core, we're still the same club that we were in 1922. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. A group of guys trying to do great for the community who really enjoy each other.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, we have all been honored with particular awards within the organization. Brian, a past active life recipient. We'll dive more into our awards, but you've been Man of the Year, and that award is somewhat of a lifetime achievement award in the club. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and kind of what that was like for you to have the club recognize your efforts in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, I was awarded the Man of the Year, and I was the 50th Man of the Year, and that was, I don't want to keep using the word humbling, but the night of it was Aaron Klaus's installation, and it's an award that you don't try to win. It's not something you set out for, and it's an award that the past Men of the Year nominate and decide on who's going to be that next recipient. And yeah, receiving that was shocking, and really, it's really not why most of us, I'll speak for myself, I am a part of this club, but to have my efforts recognized in that way was really amazing, and to be in a group of past Men of the Year with both of you is really an accomplishment I'm very proud of.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. What I want to talk a little bit about this big event that we've got coming up, and we'll get into the brew party and the release. But there's a little larger event coming up in July, and it's our 100th anniversary, our 100th birthday, whatever you want to, the centennial. You want to talk a little bit about that and kind of what that means to the organization and to the other organizations that were birthed by our creation?
I mean, it's, as you said, July. This event has been 2 years in the planning and 100 years in the making. Mm-hmm. And our co-chairs for the event that we're doing with our sister club here in Sacramento, with the active 2030 1032 club. The co-chairs that have put in the time and energy to make this event what it is going to be is fantastic. It's going to be a week of meeting club members from, I believe, 8 other countries that are all coming here in Sacramento to celebrate the 100-year centennial anniversary, and it's going to be a week of fun, a week of doing great things here for the Sacramento community with our service project with comfort cases, and then it's going to be the topped off on Saturday night of convention with the Black Tie Gala, which is just going to be one heck of a 100-year celebration birthday party.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned comfort cases as a benevolent event that we do at convention. Could you talk a little bit more about what comfort cases is?
Absolutely. So Comfort Cases is an organization that helps supply the foster youth in many communities with backpacks and bags full of necessities for children. And this is in lieu of a child in the foster care system using a trash bag as they are moving potentially from house to house and not owning anything of their own or any type of luggage. So what Comfort Cases was founded around, which was being able to offer and supply children in the foster care community with something that they can be proud of, that's not shameful, that's not embarrassing, like a trash bag full of your belongings. So on Saturday of convention, I believe we're making roughly 400 of these comfort cases, which are backpacks filled with school supplies and other personal hygiene types of supplies that these children can use.
Oh, that's awesome. So I think as we move forward, we'll do a little fun activity here. Since we're the #1 club, we'll talk about some of your favorite #1s. So I'd say let's start with your #1 beer.
My #1 beer. You know what? I mean, at this point, anything from Red Bus right now sounds pretty good to me. But
I'll drink to that.
I would say, I am a hazy fan. I am an IPA fan. A Monkey Knife Fight, or I know that's a pale ale, but a Monkey Knife Fight, or I'm also a big fan of Track 7. A beer with a little bite, a little hoppiness. I think either of those, if they're available, would probably be my go-to.
Okay.
You're gonna love Standing Tall then.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I know I'm surrounded here in this conversation, but we'll say #1 sports team.
Oh, well, that's obvious. Well, I mean, the San Francisco Giants will always be my #1 sports team. And I know Brian, you might be the A's, aren't you?
I'm an A's fan, but I don't dislike the Giants. It's not like one of those kind of things. I think you can be an A's fan and still like the Giants. I don't know if you can be a Giants fan and still like the A's. Is that possible? I know.
Not after '89.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody was telling me about the 49ers. They're like, a 49ers fan can't be a Raiders fan, but a Raiders fan can be okay with the 49ers. Or no, I'm saying flip-flop. I think it's flip-flop. I think you can't be a Raiders fan and like the 49ers. Is that right?
I think that's probably correct. Yeah. I've had many a Raiders fan hate on me for my 49er love.
Okay.
Yeah. So speaking of the Giants, didn't you do something pretty fun for your birthday recently with another friend of ours, the godfather of this Standing Tall project, Mr. Matt Shriver?
Yeah, we in January, we definitely checked one off the bucket list, which was to go down to Scottsdale, and we participated in the San Francisco Giants fantasy camp, and week long, 72, 75 degree January days in Scottsdale, out playing baseball was 8 games in 5 days, a couple double headers. It's pretty awesome.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say we'll finish with 2 that I know you're quite fond of. #1 whiskey.
Ooh. I would say, it's for those of you who know, anything from the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, George T. Stagg, Thomas Handy, William LaRue. Those are all pretty special and definitely celebratory bottles if you can get your hands on one.
Nice. How about cigar? #1 cigar.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. My first cigar ever was a Padron. Was with my dad, and I didn't really know a Padron was anything special. But it's kind of that special celebratory cigar. So that I would say a Padron is definitely my #1.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. As far as convention goes, how can some of the members that haven't registered register? How can they sign up to go?
Yeah, great question. So as you said, you do have to pay a registration to be a part of convention. Our women's club, the 1032 Club, all registrations going through their website. So going to their website and clicking register and signing up and being ready to be a part of a great week of activity. For those of you who are working during the week, which most of us do, almost all of the activities are after hours. So meaning, after 5 o'clock are when most of the activities take place. So there's no need to, try to take time off work, or that shouldn't be a deterrent to not registering, because, like I said, most of all the fun's taking place in the evening.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So one of the cool things that we're doing and why we're doing beer tasting and talking about Standing Tall and doing all of these things with the club and with Red Bus is because we're making a beer. We talked about this last time. We're talking about it today. On the 15th of June, we've got a really cool event coming up. Brian, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. The event is a brew night, and Red Bus has done this once before. Basically, they invite people into the brew house to participate in the brewing process. So if you ever dreamed about being a brewer or making a beer, this is the place for you. This will be your night. So you can go up on the brew deck and drop some hops in and be a part of the making of this beer called Standing Tall, which celebrates this significant milestone in our club's history. And that beer will be, fermented and ultimately canned, and it will be available for sale. It'll actually be available for sale very, very soon. So you'll be able to get it in cans, and you get to be a part of the process. But what's really cool is that we're inviting members, past active members to come out and just hang out and be a part of it. It's a pretty unique opportunity. Something we talked about a year ago. Like Matt said, this convention has been many years in the planning. A couple years in the planning, and we had this idea about a year ago, and Red Bus kind of stepped up for us and offered to brew the beer for us, and also allow us to be really a part of it, which is really unique. So that happens on June 15th at 6 p.m., 6 to 8:30, and I'd like to invite any active members, past active members, please let other members, other people who are 20, 30 members know about this event. Obviously this information was shared through social media channels, and we're trying to get this message out to active members and passive active members, but we don't want to leave anybody out. We don't want anybody to say, oh, I wish I would have known that this was going down because I would have come, because we really want you there. So again, June 15th. And then I don't know, Derrick, is there something I missed? I think that's it, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a Red Bus. You come out. We walked the facility in our last podcast, and it's an amazing place to be. They're going to have an awesome food truck there. I think we're going to be getting the photo bus out, and they'll be able to take some pictures inside the bus, and be able to check out the brewery, taste some more of the beers. And make a beer and have a hand in creating something that's going to be awesome, and a portion of the proceeds are going to come back to the Active 2030 Club so that we can continue doing what we do the best, and that's serve the disabled, disadvantaged youth in our community. And
thanks
so,
how could I forget that? The most important part, right? Yeah.
absolutely. So. Yeah, no, it's what we do. So for us, it gets lost sometimes just because it comes as a second nature to us in what we do and why we're here, in some part, one way or another. I think that's important, but I think one of the main things is we're going to have fun. 2030 fashion is we gather and we have a great time, and we invite all past active members from the women's club, from surrounding clubs, come and be a part of this and celebrate with us. It's our 100th birthday for the No.1 club, but it's a celebration of Active 2030 as a whole. And that's something special. There's not a lot of organizations that can say they've been around for 100 years, and there certainly aren't a lot of organizations that serve children that have been around for 100 years. So that's something to be proud of, and I think both of you guys have played a big part in that, and continue to carry on that legacy of who and what we are. So I appreciate you both. The 9th of July is going to be our release. So at the end of this podcast, we're going to make available the pre-orders. and we're going to go all the way up through the brew party and beyond. But the thing is that we're only brewing so much, and there's only going to be so much available. So when that pre-order link pops up, scan it, go to the website, get that beer. We've got another little special surprise. We'll let you know at the very, very end of this, but it's going to be really cool. But on the 9th, after that, that's when we have our release. So come back out to Red Bus, drink the beer that he'll have on tap, pick up your cans, drink those too, have a safe ride home, have a great time, and just enjoy the process, because we do a good job of celebrating. We gather, we celebrate, and then we move forward and serve, and that's who we are and what we do. So I think, with that, Matt, we appreciate you joining us. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to talk about, what the club means to you and what it has become, moving into this 100th year. And so I think, should we just tell them, Brian?
Yes, I will.
There we go. All right. All right.
On mute because there was a little bit of background noise.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So there, you will be able to order Standing Tall, which is the beer that we will be brewing on June the 15th, Wednesday night. I got my date right, Derek, right?
The 15th from 6 to 8:30. Yep. We got it.
Say it over and over again. I just keep making sure I got it right. So Wednesday, June 15th from 6 to 8:30, we'll be brewing Standing Tall. But we're also releasing another beer. So this is a hazy beer we drank tonight. We were releasing a hazy beer to also celebrate the 100th anniversary of Active 2030. And it's called Still Hazy After All These Years, which I think is so appropriate. Here we are. And it'll be a very Red Bus-esque, Red Bus style hazy IPA. So if you're into hazy beers, you might want to order that. Order them both, or order multiples of both. I don't know, whatever. But make sure you do it quickly, because again, we're doing the pre-orders so we can get an idea of how much we need to brew. And once it's gone, this is a one-time deal. It'd be awesome if we get an opportunity to do something like this again. But this is a big milestone and kind of a unique experience. So make sure if you do want it, get it, pre-order it as soon as you can to make sure you can secure your 4-packs. So
awesome. Well, I think with that, we will post the links to get your pre-orders in. We will see you on the 15th, and we'll see you on our next podcast. But with that, I say we cheers one more time to 100 hazy years, and
yes,
celebrate this event in style. Cheers, boys.
Cheers. And thank you, President Stumpf, for joining us today. It's been awesome to see your growth in 2030. Those who are watching this and don't know a lot about 2030, once you turn 40 years old, you are asked to make your way out and make room for gentlemen between the ages of 20 and 39. But Matt and I did get to enjoy some 2030 experience together, and it's really awesome to see Matt leading this club and the direction that the club's going. I'm really, I'm really proud of this club, and it's an honor to actually still be affiliated with this group and being able to do stuff like this with you guys. So
that's evidenced by you still being around and participating and helping us carry this thing, man. Your local Folsom artist and author, label designer, Mr. Everything. We appreciate you. So I'll drink another to you, buddy.
Thank you very much. I learned it all in 2030.
There we go. Cheers, fellas. We'll see you around.
Perfect.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.